Hey everybody, welcome to For the Love of Dog with Christine and PJ. And we are here on Friday with another show of some amazing topics. I'm sure you'll agree. um,
Important topics.
Important, absolutely, everything's important. But hope everybody's doing well. Something that I think is really awesome. There's kind of this growing movement for homeless shelters or shelters that provide um, a place for people who are unhoused to stay are making room for animals. And that has never been the case. It's still rarely the case. If you have an animal and you want to get a bed one night in one of the shelters, you usually have to either not bring your pet or go somewhere else. So I think this is a really good thing. And um, there's been this, I don't know what to call it, but anyway, this movement about called "My Dog Is My Home," and it's, these people talk about how they've been on the road or out homeless, and their dog has been with them. I've heard women talk about how the dog has protected them, from things. So I think that this is awesome. I think more people should do it. So what they do is they provide a bed, and this is in San Diego, which is great. In which, unfortunately, California does have a very high population of homeless people, and they provide dog beds and a pet washing station, and actually you can bring any pet that's legal. So if you just not legal, if you have a wild exotic animal, you probably can't bring it. But so anyway, I think this is really an important movement. And I don't know, Christine, what do you think?
I agree 100%. And I wish more places had this option for people. I know that when I was reading this article, my first thought was, how can they afford it? And I'm sure it's very expensive. They're completely run off donations,
And
grants.
we know how that is.
Yeah. But to have something like this available for people, I mean, most people I talk to say they would never surrender their dog. They would rather live in their car. And I'm sure a lot of people would do that, but how long can that go on for? I mean, there comes a time people have to sacrifice eating, taking care of their pet. Um, and so it's a hard call for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people have given up their pets that never thought they would have had to make that choice. So to have this option, I think is amazing to help people transition back to having a home. And, I've seen a lot of even fundraisers, GoFundMe's, to help people that are homeless to get back on their feet, even just to get a small apartment, get a job. So when I saw this article, I was like, wow, I wish this would light a fire to spread a lot of other places. I saw that with this place. I think most of the animals are housed on the bottom floor, which makes it easy to get them in and out. They're mindful of people that don't want to be around. If you don't want to be around an animal, they put you somewhere else. So, but they provide, the healthcare reimbursements. I think they get federal funding, so that's great for them. So, but I think getting the word out that this exists, is important for people to even know that it's an option.
I agree. And hopefully they keep their federal funding because we all know that with the administration we currently have, federal funding has been taken away from a lot of nonprofits, which, sacrifices a lot of people and a lot of animals and other things. But yeah, I agree. I think it's so forward thinking. And, not to shame people who do give up their dogs because, as you said, especially if you have kids, right? If you have kids, it may not even be an option for you to sleep in your car. You may have to have go to a place for a bed where they could go to school. So, so some people will not surrender their pet at all costs, and I think that's great. We know some people will do it, even for stupid reasons. Those we don't like those people, but I think it's a really hard choice when you're facing something like homelessness, and normally it's through no fault of your own. I mean, people have had become homeless because of medical bills, or sometimes there's addictions or whatever. It's just I think it's really great that they're actually taking steps to help people who have pets. And I know that, okay, and there's been studies that a lot of women won't leave abusive relationships if they have a pet because they can't take the pet with them and they don't want to leave the pet there. So they stay in those kind of situations. And I read an article years ago about this man. His house burned down, and I'm unclear about whether or not he had insurance, but he couldn't go all the shelters. He was in Oregon, I think, and all the shelters would not take his dog. So he pitched a tent in his yard but in front of the burned down home and stay with his dog. And so I think it's definitely needed, and I really applaud this place. I want to say what it is. It's
Father
Sa
Joe's.
Father Joe's. I was gonna say St. Joe's. Father Joe's, what a great concept. When we had our facility, we offered, um, at least a home to the pet, so our families were getting back on their feet. I wish we could do more of that, but I think it's an awesome thing, and thank you, Father Joe's, for doing that, and I hope more cities around the country will, follow suit.
Absolutely. One other thing I think would be really beneficial is to have that transitional housing for women that are getting out of, and men that are getting out of abusive situations. My sister, who lives in Atlanta, she volunteers for a group that helps women who temporarily need a place for their dog while they're transitioning out. And when I had first heard about it, I was like, what an amazing organization for these women and men that could have their dogs. My sister would foster a dog for sometimes weeks, sometimes months, while these women were getting into a different living environment with their home or with their children sometimes. And it was, I mean, she never met the women, but she could see that when she would get the dogs and start fostering them, she could absolutely see these dogs are well cared for, they're loved, and they didn't want to give up their dogs. So to have a place, it's called I think it's Hempsa or Hensa House. But it was the first time I'd ever heard of an organization like this because I don't know of any in California. But just knowing that the dog, she was always excited when the person would get back on their feet. And of course, she was so excited to be able to give the dog back to the person and occasionally would get updates from the organization on how they were doing. But just what a heartfelt thing to be part of, to know that they can stay together.
Definitely. And, there are some organizations like Red Rover offers grants, to nonprofits, even like us, who can, help with that. But unfortunately, it's still not a lot of money. I think they offer something like a $60,000 grant, which sounds like a lot of money. But, here in California, I mean, with rents and things like that, and you have to have a building that you can actually have humans living in with
Right.
dogs. So it's just a really hard thing. So, I mean, good for them, good for Atlanta. And again, I just hope we see more of this because it really is something that's so needed in our country. So, yeah, crate training, helpful or harmful? Christine, this is your idea, so I'm gonna let you run with this.
I say 100% helpful. I know that a lot of people who don't like crates look at them, but they have a bad view of them because they may have been misused. People have used the crates for ways that they have not been intended, whether it be punishment or, keeping the dog in the crate too long. And when we interview people, that's one of our questions is regarding crate training. And I'd say it's about 60-40. 60% of people are pro crate training. They've already done it with previous dogs or they're open to it. And then other people think, no, it looks like a cage. Dogs need constant freedom in the house, which is absolutely untrue. Some people feel like their dog should always have access to every room in the house, and that's dangerous for a dog. Most dogs, because they're den-like creatures, they enjoy having a safe space. Most dogs go into the crate on their own. Some dogs eat in the crate. But they're also great tools while you have people come over to the house. Maybe you're having a party and you just want your dog to be safe without worrying about, the dog getting its tail stepped on and nipping someone or just too much going on in the house. If you're having a contractor over, you're having work done on your house, um, a crate is a great place to put the dog. The dog's safe. Um, they're, you know, they can aid in training and preventing, destructive behavior. You can help with like travel situations. So there's so many benefits of crate training if done properly that I think everybody should at least have their dog crate trained, whether or not you use the crate regularly or not.
Agreed. So, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but, I grew up on a farm. So the first time I ever heard about a crate, I thought it was so mean. I'm like, "What do you mean you keep your dog in a cage?" That's
In
what
a
I thought,
prison.
cage. Yeah, but the more that I learned about it and the more I learned about dogs and dog behavior, and Christine hit it right on the head that, dogs in the wild, coyotes, wolves, dogs, wild dogs, they live in dens, they build dens, and they want something safe where they can be away from predators and, intruders. And so that is built in the DNA of our little dogs, whether it's a Chihuahua or a Mastiff, it's still in that DNA. And, they like a place, as Christine said, that can be their own. And in fact, my dog Tank would put himself in the crate all the time. Um, Buster will do that if it's crate time. He knows when we're going to go in there, but Tank would just go in there and just like, hey, he'd take his nose, open up the gate and get in there because he just really liked his crate. Um, as Christine said, you cannot use it and for punishment. And that's the way most people do. Oh, I'm so mad at you. I'm going to throw you in the crate. Well, then they have a bad association with it. And of course, then it doesn't really work. We do have, we've mentioned this before, we haven't launched it, but we have a new training, online training situation module. It's kind of it's more than a module, but yes, it's coming up. It'll be on Patreon, and it's called Off Leash, and we're kicking it off with a 25-day challenge. And crate training is one of those. And we talk about whether or not how you should not use it as punishment, because that absolutely will do the opposite for the dog, and it's unfair. And some dogs really don't like crates. I can tell you that my dog Nigel absolutely does not like his crate. He will run in there though if he thinks he's going to get a treat, which is funny. Yeah, so but he doesn't like it. But for the most part, almost every other dog I've ever run around likes the crate and doesn't, or at least doesn't mind it at the end. So I think, to all things that Christine said, it actually keeps your dog safe. It can keep your dog from destroying your home, frankly, if they have separation anxiety. So I think it's a really good thing, and I think most people really should try it. At least train. You don't have to use it, but at least train it, because you may never know when you do need it, and then you don't want the dog to just be a mess because they've never been in it before.
Right. And how many people have had, some oddity come up, they needed a surgery and they need to be on crate rest? Well, having a dog go from not ever being in a crate and then having to be in a crate for 2 to 6 to 8 weeks because they needed TPLO surgery or something that they need extended crate rest, not having them comfortable already in that situation is going to even stress them out even more. And it's going to make that healing process even more stressful for the entire house, especially the dog.
Exactly. And even if you ever have to have work done in your house, even if your dog is good with people and strangers coming into your house, you still don't want it in the plumber's way or whatever, or like if people are, banging things or whatever. It's a nice place just to keep them so that they don't get out. They're not loose, and, because the gate was open in the yard or whatever. So I think all that really is positive. But we'd like to hear what you think. So you can put your comments and tell us if you think we're right or wrong. So, we're almost ready to wrap up. I will say we didn't talk about Charlotte last week, but she still is in need of a foster. I know I feel like a broken record, but she's still in need of a foster. So if you can think about opening up your home and your heart to Charlotte, she needs to be the only dog in the house. She can be around cats. She's very, very sweet, house trained, crate trained. So really, we would love that if you could help us out or tell people about her. Just finishing up, we're contacted all the time, but you can see we had this family, and it happens so many. They dumped a mom. She got pregnant. You can see how thin she is. She's starving. The puppies are starving. There's 6 of them. I think there's some people who are going out there and feeding them,
Couple
sometimes.
times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're starving. It's not great. There's no shelter, and there's 6 of them, and they are in Barstow, and they really, really need to be saved. We are not in a position where we can save them. We don't have a foster, and we would need funds. And I don't want anybody to send funds until we know for sure we're going to take them. I'm hoping that somebody will take them because they're not going to make it. The heat is coming. Like I said, it's unsheltered. And pretty soon, as the puppy gets older, they'll be mating, and there'll be more puppies and more puppies. So, and some of them won't make it because of parasites or because of predators. So
I know people will see this video and, we get it. I hear it all the time on social media. I wish I could help. Even if you can't help, just talk to people about it. Share our video with other people, share it on your social media, ask your, you know, again, broken record, coworkers, family members, friends, strangers, anybody that is in a position we don't know how dog friendly mama is, obviously, but she's going to be need to be kept separately anyways, right? right now with the puppies as they're nursing. So if you have a room to keep her, a air-conditioned garage area, bathroom, a spare bedroom, um, we can make it work. So if you can help, even if you can't help, please help spread the word.
Right. And frankly, it doesn't need to be either fans will work. It doesn't have to be air conditioned. It's just that anything right now would be better in the situation they're in. So,
Right.
so Christine's 100% right. Please help. Please share. Sharing is caring. We really, really hope that we're going to cross all our paths. I'm going to use all the I'm going to use all the euphemisms today. We're going to hope that somebody, either another rescue or somebody, will step up to foster, and that we can raise money to get these guys, because Mama is so thin, that and these guys are just not going to last out there. So please help. You can go to littlereddog.org, click on the foster form and fill it out. Don't worry about it if you haven't ever had fostered before. If you don't have experience with puppies, we can help you. We will get them medical care. But the biggest need is the foster, because it starts with that. Because if we don't have them a place to go, they're going to have to stay where they're at. All right. Anything else, Christine, before we wrap it up?
I think we covered everything in under 20 minutes.
Woohoo! All right, we're getting better, guys. It's my fault. I'm always long-winded. Thanks for tuning in. We super appreciate you. And we'll be rolling out more information about the off-leash training on Patreon, and you can sign up and do the 25-day challenge with us, and you will hopefully have even a better trained dog than you do now. All right,
Yes.
everybody, take care. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.